What's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from IRL International Racing League F2 Season 2. This is round 9 at Bahrain. And we are waiting for a few more drivers to hopefully show up within the next couple minutes. This is going to be round 9 of what has been a very exhilarating season so far. It looks like we just lost a driver for some reason. Got 9 so far. We had 10. Having some internet issues this morning. But let's run down the driver list of what we got so far. We've got Adrian Storm in the Mercedes Petronas, followed by James Jock. Eric Salama is actually Eric Penton, and he is driving the factory Renault. He'll be on, looks like we've got, okay, Andre Pestana will not be joining us today. Luis Wassman is going to be in the Racing Point. Cameron Weston Edwards in the Ferrari. Paco Suarez in the Mercedes. Nexus Clone is Jared Fosbury in the McLaren. Nexus Iceman is Jack Yates. And Kevin Harrison will be in the other Alfa Romeo. And that is 10, well, make that 9 drivers so far. And Fosbury saying that there was a DNS server issue, so he's got that fixed now. So unfortunately, just waiting on hopefully a few more drivers to show up. But we can talk last time out. Round 8 at Spain was actually a really exciting race, guys. You should definitely go back and watch that. We had 16 drivers on the grid that day. Daniel Tamberg walked away with his first pole position of the year. Kevin Harrison came home with his second win of the year, and that was 2 in a row for him, back to back. Jack Yates picked up his 7th podium. Jared Fosbury picked up his 5th podium of the year. And then running down the rest of the list, Daniel Tamberg, who started on pole, came home 4th. Adrian Storm fighting that hand injury, which he should be able to, he should be over that by now, come home 5th. Ahoy Asahina actually came home 6th. That was his IRL debut. He started 16th on the grid. He missed qualifying, drove from 16th to 6th, so good effort by him. Jorge Correa came home 7th. Alexander Bastos was 8th. James Hallworth was 9th, and Paco Suarez was 10th. That was rounding out your top 10 points paying positions. Louis Quinlan was credited with 11th, but had his 3rd DNF of the year. Luis Wassman came home 12th, a lap down. Pastana was a lap down in 13th. And Harry Cooper, Ivan Brito, and Andre Zaz all finished out 14th, 15th, and 16th with DNFs. And we're going to talk about Ivan Brito here in just a couple minutes as we get ready to do a short qualifying session, 18-minute qualifying session, followed by a 50% race here at Bahrain under the lights. Now, Ivan Brito, he came home 15th. He was credited with his 5th DNF of the season. He struggled mightily throughout the course of the race, and he ended up calling it a day after multiple spins, and he became a moving roadblock, and so he decided to call it a day and was credited with his 5th DNF of the season. Now, after the race, Brito has made the decision upon himself to step back from F2 racing, and he is going to join the IRL International Racing League F3 League to be a little bit more on par with some of the drivers there, and maybe be able to race at his own pace a little bit better and hone in on his skills. So I do want to say props to Ivan Brito for making that decision upon his own accord. He understands his where he stood in the league, and after last race, he decided that it would be best if he maybe stepped back and honed in on his skills. So I want to say that's a really mature decision for him to make, and we'd certainly wish him the best of luck in F3 as that season progresses. They are also racing round 8 today at Bahrain. You can actually check that out. There's another stream going on the International Racing League YouTube channel, so be sure to check that out as we see some of the drivers get ready to leave the pits here. Hopefully we've got engine audio. Compliments of Codemasters. That happens to be not the case all the time. And as I say it, we don't have any audio. So, we're going to skip out of this session here. And we will need to get an invite back into that session to hopefully get some engine audio, as is the case often with Codemasters. And Fosbury is on it. My invite has just come across. And while we wait to rejoin this session, as we spoke earlier, Kevin Harrison picked up his 2nd win of the season. That put him back-to-back wins. Jack Yates missed round 7 at Monza, but came back to pick up second spot in Spain, and then Jared Fosbury showing his consistency with his 5th podium finish of the year. So now there's a 3-way championship battle in the points between Jack Yates, Jared Fosbury, and Kevin Harrison, and we finally have got some engine audio as we see Adrian Storm on his outlap. Now, considering that there's only 9 drivers in this session, that's semi-good news. Everybody should get points, I think, if they finish 75% of the race or something like that. I'm not 100% what the rule is in IRL. I'm sure somebody will be able to clarify that for me later on. But everybody has a chance to score points today. The drivers that have joined are all very quick drivers. So, granted, it's only 9 drivers, but there's a good chance that they're all going to be fighting for the win of this race. And speaking of that 3-way battle, Jack Yates, who's currently in the pits, he is leading the way at 130 points. Jared Fosbury and Kevin Harrison both tied for second right now with 112 points. Eric Pettington in the factory Renault, he hasn't made every race, but the 3 races that he's made so far this year, he has won. So he's won 3 of the races. He's also got credited with the fastest lap. So he's got 76 points to his credit. He's 4th in points. Daniel Tamberg had a great run last week at Spain. Had a full pole position for the first time this year. Was fighting for the win. Had a little bit of contact late in the race. And ultimately came home 4th. But that catapulted him into the 5th spot in championship point standings with 71. Now, as far as the Constructors' Championship goes, Alfa Romeo, which is Jack Yates and Kevin Harrison, have pretty much walked away with that championship already in hand, it seems like. They've got 242 points. Next closest constructor to them is McLaren, which is Jared Fosbury. And I don't even remember who else off the top of my head. Actually, it was Ivan Brito last week. So they've only got 114 points to their credit. Factory Renault team, that is Eric Pettington and his teammate. And unfortunately, they've only got 104 points to their credit. So, but we're finally seeing some times pop up on the board. Jared Fosbury, first one to set a time at 128.850. He's followed by Adrian Storm at a 129.263. We'll pick up Kevin Harrison, and we'll get a little bit of lap data up here. He's in Sector 2. Looks like he's behind Fosbury right now on track. Had a really interesting interview with Kevin Harrison after the race last week. Him and Jack Yates, obviously Alfa Romeo teammates. He was able to beat out his teammate, and up until last week, there had seemed to be some sort of team orders in place for Harrison and Jack Yates. Jack usually being the faster driver, Harrison would usually let him by. He knew he was fighting for the championship battle. Now, when Yates... And you see Harrison's way off track. I know he was trying to get around Fosbury. That's going to invalidate his time. So, but round 7 at Monza, where Jack Yates didn't make the race, Harrison walked away with the win. And we see his time did not count. It was invalidated because of that off-track excursion. So he'll still be running. But he won that race, and that actually put him in contention for the championship. So last week in Spain, there were no team orders between the 2 drivers, and Harrison ultimately walked away with the win. So, moving forward, Harrison talked about, I should say, that they're still teammates, but there isn't any hardcore team orders. He said maybe in the chance of, a position, to be gained or lost later in the season. If one of them happens to, have fallen through the ranks a little bit, then team orders might come into play. But as of right now, the championship fight is on. Jack Yates, we tried talking to him, but he is a man of very, very few words. He's Finnish. He calls himself Iceman. He may be taking the Kimi Räikkönen role a little too seriously, but he is a man of few words. He does his talking on the track. As we see, Paco Suarez has set a time of 1:37.08 and has headed back into the pits. Cameron Weston Edwards, 3rd quickest so far, 1:29.424. Yellow flag in Sector 3. I don't think that'll be too much of a consequence for Harrison at this point. And Harrison is diving into the pits. So we're going to pick up Eric Pettington. Hasn't made every race this year, but the races that he has made count. He's made 3 races. He's won 3 races. He is currently 4th in the championship. And he's proven to be a very quick driver. See him start his hot lap. He's got 3 wins and 2 pole positions to his credit, plus a fastest lap. And he could definitely be a threat for the championship, or at least the championship spoiler, since he doesn't make every race. So he could snatch a win from some of the front runners, really put a hindrance on some of that point standings there. And like I said, even though there's only 9 drivers here, they're all very fast drivers. Jared Fosbury, who's currently provisional pole, he is last season's F2 champion. Cameron Weston Edwards has F1 experience, multiple wins in IRL and SRL, the 2 main leagues that he races for. Actually, I should say multiple podium positions. I don't think he has an SRL win to his credit yet, but he's very close to it. Kevin Harrison, obviously a couple wins this year. Jack Yates, a couple wins this year. Paco Suarez finished 2nd in the championship last year. He's proven to be very quick years past. This year he's struggled a lot so far, so he'll be looking to try and put some points on the board. And then we've got Eric Pettington. So you've got 5 out of the 9 drivers that could all really be in contention for the win of this race. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And I'll tell you, the car count, as you see Pettington jumps to the top of the charts with a 128.670, might be short on car count, but I don't think we're going to be short on action as this race takes place. And Pettington to the top, proven that he is a very fast driver. Once again, 2/10 over Jared Fosbury. Fosbury is currently on his outlap. So with only 9 drivers, it might be a little interesting to see how those drivers are going to try and play the pit strategy. 1 stop, 2 stop, hard tires to soft tires, soft to hards. I think with only 9 drivers, because some of those guys are going to know that they're not going to lose a lot of spots in the grid, they may try an alternate pit strategy to see if they can make it work towards the end of the race. As you can see right now, it looks like Fosbury's on the harder tires. And PTRL Naz has joined, Jorge Correa. We will definitely be happy to have him on the track today. Correa finished 7th in round 8. He had a race yesterday at SRL, put in a really good effort there. Some debate as to right now whether or not he will be given or granted a podium finish. Really interesting race at SRL, but there was a glitch in the pit lane, which cost a couple of drivers a lot of time. That time was given back to them at the end of the race. Correa ultimately lost the podium spot because of it. He appealed the decision. The stewards are reinvestigating it, so hopefully SRL will have a decision on that tomorrow. But a good effort by him yesterday. He's been actually running really well so far this season in SRL and IRL. He's a crowd favorite. Glad to have him with us today. He'll be the 10th driver. And even though he's going to miss qualifying, he's only going to be starting 10th, so good for him. And now you see Adrian Storm's going to the top of the charts with a 128.305. He's on the medium compound tire. Pick up Fosbury. He's in Sector 2. Fosbury currently classified 3rd. 7 minutes left to play in the session. And Kevin Harrison, James Jock, Jack Yates, and Luis Wassman have all yet to set a time. Harrison and Yates. Yates usually waits until the very end. And here we see James Jock has gone second quickest, 128.356. That's a great qualifying effort by him. We'll pick up Jared Fosbury. He's now dropped to 4th in the running. Comes out of the last corner, tries to get the power down, see what kind of time he can set. He's going to come across the line, going to be 128.677. So he improves his time, but not his position. I'll pick up Kevin Harrison. Yet to set a time. He's out on the medium tires as well. Sector 3. Comes out of the last corner, gets the power down. Car looks really stable. Looks like he's a little bit off the pace, though. He's going to come across the line 130s. So it looks like he knew that wasn't going to fly, so looks like he's off the pace a little bit. So maybe he'll go around and try it again. So now the only two drivers who have yet to set a time is Jack Yates, who usually waits until the end, and then Luis Wassman. Wassman had a great qualifying effort last time in Spain. Started in the third spot, got caught up in a turn 1 incident, and dropped him all the way to the rear of the field. And ultimately he would come home 12th that race. But props to Wassman for never giving up on that race. I can't say it enough. I appreciate the drivers that run the length of the race, don't rage quit. He got caught out in turn 1, lap 1, and he fought all the way to the end of the finish. Granted, he didn't score any points, but props to him for finishing the race. We certainly appreciate that at IRL. As we look out the back of Kevin Harrison's Alfa Romeo, looks like he's a little bit more on a lap this time. We'll hop on board with him. See minimal steering input there that he doesn't want to scrub off too much speed. Down the backstretch. Last corner, looks like he's off the pace again, so it looks like he's probably going to dive into the pits. And it looks like he hasn't quite figured out the setup on this car just yet. And now everybody is in the pits. 4:15 left to play in the session. See, Adrian Storm is currently on an out lap. He is on the softs. So he is going to try and knock out a firecracker of a lap to see if he can make good on his pole position and keep it. At a 128.305 out on the softs, he should be able to break into those 127s. No driver's been able to do that just yet. Looks like he's taking a little easy on the out lap. Wants to get the tires up to temperature, but doesn't want to get them overheated. He's on the backstretch, putting some heat into them. Actually, that's not the backstretch. It's the first DRS zone, I believe. Second DRS zone. I think there's 3 on this track. I can't remember. So here we go down the backstretch into the final corner, and he's going to start a hot lap here. We'll hop on board with him. Yellow flag, sector 3, as we ride on board with Adrian Storm. Interesting gear selection through the first 1-2 chicane there. Ooh, downshifts high in the rev zone. The hard left-hander, get the power down into the DRS zone. Doesn't want to go off the track too much. They might take away his time. Tries to arc that corner. Big sweeping uphill right-hander. Cuts it in tight, power down. Oh, and he's off course just a little bit. That's probably going to invalidate the time. And now we see everybody coming out on their out lap now. Less than a minute, 1:20 left to play in the session, and Adrian Storm's going to dive into the pits. He knew he wasn't going to be able to pull it off. His time was invalidated, so he's pretty much going to call it a day at this point. And now you see the Mercedes of Paco Suarez He's getting out of the way for Eric Pittington to go by. Pittington on the hard tires. Looks like we've got one of the alphas behind him. That would be Kevin Harrison. Actually, no, that would be Jack Yates. So as we spoke earlier, Jack usually comes out at the end of the qualifying session, sets a banger of a lap, and usually starts towards the front. Looks like he's on the hard tires, though. So as I said earlier, on the hard tires, with only 9 or 10 drivers, the strategies might be a little bit different to play out. So we'll try to keep up with all this action. We're going to pick up Pittington. Looks like he's the first one of this group to be on the outlap, so he'll be the first one to cross the line for a last-ditch effort to try and get that pole position. And Eric Salama. Actually, Eric Pittington. I don't know why he goes by Salama on here, but... So time is up. Hot laps will count. We see Adrian Storm said that his time wasn't invalid, but it was wrong to finish the lap. That's a matter of opinion. You might not be saying that after somebody snatches that pole position from you. And it looks like Pittington is off at Sector 1. And you see the Mercedes back there. Looks like that is going to be Paco Suarez. He's currently 5th quickest, followed by Jack Yates, who hasn't set a time. He's now the only driver to not set a time. Luis Wassman has set a time at 1:29.992. That is good enough for 7th so far. And his time is locked in, so that is going to be his time for qualifying. Pittington coming down to the end of his lap here. Pittington's going to come across the line. 1:28.552. Pick up Jack Yates, 1:28. It looks like Jared Fosbury might have snatched the pole. So Jack Yates comes across 6th quickest, but I think I saw a time flash up right there before the end. Jared Fosbury in the 1:27s. We'll get some clarification on that here in a second. And yes, Jared Fosbury, 1:27.853, followed by Paco Suarez, Adrian Storm, James Jock, Eric Pittington, Jack Yates, Kevin Harrison, Cameron Wilson-Edwards drops all the way to 8th, and Luis Wassman. And you can see 4 of the drivers on mediums, 5 of the drivers on hards, and Jorge Correa is going to be the wild card. And we see Correa is on the live chat along with Jared Fosbury. P1, baby. Congratulations to Jared Fosbury. I believe that is actually his first pole position of the year, if I'm correct. And yes, that is Jared Fosbury's first pole position of the season. So we'll have 10 drivers starting this race. They're all very quick. You saw the times, how close they were. Just about everybody in the mid-128s, 128.3 to 128.9. So the classification of these cars, Fosbury was the only guy to break into the 127s and did it smashing. He was half a second quicker than Paco Suarez, I believe it was. As we wait for this game to load. So like I said, short on cars, but not short on action. So we're going to do the formation lap now, and Jared Fosbury, with his first pole position of the year, he'll be looking to pick up his first win of the year and capitalize on his starting position. He'll be followed by Paco Suarez. Suarez has had a rough season so far, 4 DNFs to his credit. He'll be looking to finish on the podium, put some points on the board, and get himself back into this championship fight. He'll be followed by Adrian Storm, his teammate. He'll be looking to try and make a pole position. And James Jock with a great qualifying effort, starting in 4th, Can he capitalize on that and maybe get himself a surprise podium finish? Eric Pettington, this is his worst starting position of the year, back in 5th. He is on the hard tires doing an alternate strategy from the front runners. We'll see if it works out for him in the end. Jack Yates will be one to watch as well, as he's on the alternate strategy with the hard tires. He'll be followed by his teammate Kevin Harrison. Those two will be starting 6 and 7 and are 1 and 3 in the championship point standings. Cameron Weston-Edwards with a disappointing qualifying effort from him, but he has had some great starts this year. Look for him to make up a few positions at the start of this race when the lights go out. And Luis Wassman is going to want to make up for last week's race where he started 3rd and finished 12th. At least today, if he can finish this race, he'll get points no matter what. And Jorge Correa is in the Red Bull. That is not his normal car, but he missed qualifying and they stuck him in a Red Bull. And looks like he's on the hard tires as well, and really putting a lot of heat in them as he's working that car as they go around this backstretch here. Jorge Correa going to be looking to put some points on the board for sure. He came home 7th last time out. He's possibly got a podium position yesterday in SRL. That is still under review. And even if he didn't, he'll be looking to try and capitalize on starting from the back. Maybe on the melee will happen in front of him and he can move towards the front. So even though he may have not gotten a podium yesterday, he's going to be looking for one today for sure. And again, that decision is still under review, so we'll see what happens with him today. So 10 drivers, 29 laps. I got a feeling this is going to be a really interesting race, even though it's only 10 drivers. I want to appreciate everybody sticking around. Sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, get a drink, because this is going to be a very interesting race. So we wait for the rest of the cars to set. Five red lights. Lights are out, time to run what you brung. And away they go in a puff of smoke. Good start by Fosbury. And look at Penton go all the way down to the inside. Penton with a great start. Looks like he's trying to make up some positions here. And oh my goodness, there's a melee in there. And Penton tried to dive bomb 3 cars at once, but he does pick up a couple of spots. And look at Cameron Weston-Edwards, 8th to 4th in the first corner. And Penton is on a tear as he's already moved up into 3rd. Oh, but he's made some contact with the Ferrari of Edwards, and he's going to lose a spot. James Jock started 3rd. He's back to 5th. Cameron Weston-Edwards with a great start. He's up to 3rd already. James Jock looking to make a move on Penton, and he gets by him. Oh, no, but there's some contact there. No, and 2 of the cars into the wall. James Jock and Paco Suarez done for the day. Unbelievable. And Paco Suarez, his season continues to be just a series of bad luck. Unbelievable. Kevin Harrison now on Eric Pettington. That is just too bad for Paco Suarez and James Jock. They both had great starts. It looked like the door was left open for Suarez, and he made it a little bit ambitious. He was trying to get a 2-for-1 deal heading out of that corner, and they just tangled wheels, and into the barrier they go. That is just disappointing. So Jared Fosbury's leading after the first lap. Adrian Storm in hot pursuit, followed by Cameron Weston-Edwards in 3rd. Eric Pettington is in 4th. Kevin Harrison is 5th. Jorge Correa is 6th. Jack Yates is 7th. And Luis Wassman is 8th. Now, can Fosbury make a gap and pull out away from this field? Realistically, I mean, it's only lap 2, but the field is only separated by 3 seconds at this point. Maybe 4. And you see the barrier there, the damage, the cars that were just there. Suarez and James Jock, unfortunately, both done for the day already on lap 1. Harrison looking to try and make a move. Looks like the back end got a little squirrely coming out of that corner. He's still working on the backside of Pettington's Renault. And now Jack Yates is moving in on Jorge Correa. Closest battle on track right now. This is a battle for 6th spot. Both of these guys started on the hard tires. Meanwhile, Jared Fosbury has been almost to pull out to a second gap over Adrian Storm. So as they enter lap 3, Storm is not going to have the DRS advantage. And that is good news for Fosbury as he sets another fastest lap. And Jack Yates to the inside of Jorge Correa. Thought about it, but he wasn't close enough to make it work. Meanwhile, we've got a 3-car battle here that's materializing. This is Cameron Weston Edwards in the 3rd spot. He's being pursued by Eric Pettington, who is also being pursued by Kevin Harrison. So this is a 3-car battle for 3rd. Right behind them, you see Jorge Correa is still under pressure from Jack Yates. And running quietly by himself is Luis Wassman in the 8th spot. Oh, and hard on the brakes as Harrison really closed up the gap down into that corner. Gets a good run coming out of it this time. DRS slot open on the Renault of Pettington and the Alfa Romeo of Harrison's car. Neither one of them close enough to make a move. You see Harrison starting to try and look and make some alternate lines, trying to find a way around the Renault of Pettington. Meanwhile, Fosbury has pulled out to a 1.5 gap over Adrian Storm. DRS slots open again. You see Cameron Weston Edwards dives down towards the wall, try and break up that slipstream a little bit. Snakes himself back across the road. So far, everything is in a holding pattern right this second. But I don't think that's going to last a whole lot longer with this Edwards under pressure from these two drivers here. And now we've got Jack Yates does make the move. Oh no, and Jorge Correa is off the track. What has happened to Jorge Correa? Looks like he may have gotten pushed wide by Jack Yates. Or he may have blown the corner. We missed what happened. Yates does pick up the 6th spot. We jump back to Harrison. Now Harrison still all over the backside of the Renault of Eric Pettington. And his teammate's going to be coming into full. Jack Yates is about 2.5 seconds off of this battle for 3rd. And this is a 3-car battle here. You see Pettington. See them DRS slots open. And this is where Harrison's been really good through that set of corners there. He's going to get a little bit of aero wash off of Pettinson's car in front of him, but he's able to take those corners really well. And again, you see Edwards trying to break up that slipstream as he snakes back and forth across the track. That's a trick that he's picked up from his running the Indy 500 in SRL. And you see already Edwards back down against the wall. Oh, Pettinson's going to make a move around the outside. Edwards tries to take away the defensive line. Think he's going to lose out on this one, though. And Edwards loses the spot, but Edwards now will be in the DRS zone. So he'll have the advantage to try and get that spot back from Pettington. And you see he dives into the inside, shows himself in the mirror, he tucks back in line. Meanwhile, nothing has changed at the front. 1.5 second gap from Jared Fosbury leading this race to Adrian Storm in 2nd. And then you've got this 3-car battle here. That's Pettington, Cameron Weston Edwards, and Kevin Harrison for the 3rd spot. And Jack Yates is starting to come into the fold here. He's in that background shot, 2.5 seconds back. Edwards has got that slot open on that rear wing, trying to stick with Eric Pettington. Pettington's proven to be very fast throughout the course of this year. Looks like Edwards is losing a little bit of ground to him. And if Edwards is losing ground, then that means Harrison is losing ground as well. And the 3-car battle that was for the 3rd spot has now become a 2-car battle for the 4th spot, as we see Harrison now is able to clear. Oh, we got a yellow flag, sector 2 and 3. Not sure who that would be. Oh, and it's Jorge Correa around again. And it looks like that would have been done to his own accord. spun probably by his lonesome. Don't give up on it, Jorge. There's points to be had this race. Harrison all over the backside of the Ferrari of Cameron Weston Edwards. DRS slot open. Hop on board with him. He's not going to be close enough to make a move. Really catches up to him under braking, though. Edwards gets a good run coming out of that corner. You can see the lights flashing. He's trying to harvest some of that ERS for probably to defend his spot. He's not completely out of touch with Pettington just yet. Harrison's so good on the brakes in some of these corners. Great helicopter shot here. You can see just how much this corner right here, this is where Harrison's really been able to make up some time. That's his money corner so far, coming out of that corner. You see how close he is. And he's all over the gearbox of the Ferrari. Really good racing here by Harrison. He's being really smart about picking his spot where he wants to try and make this move. And Harrison, again, really good racing, really timing out of his spot. He could have made that dive bomb, probably would have made it work, but he's going to pick up the DRS zone here, and he's going to make this move, but Edwards isn't going to make it easy. And Edwards tries to dive back to the inside to get the spot back. And looks like Harrison's going to get the spot. He's off and running now. Can he pursue Eric Pettington and maybe get back to third? Edwards hasn't given up on this fight just yet, though. Look out the backside of Harrison's Alfa Romeo, and Edwards is still there. He's still within a second, so he's going to have that DRS advantage. Closest battle on track right now. Nothing's really changed at the front. Jared Fosbury still leading the way here on lap 7. That gap has now been extended to a little bit past 1.5, about 1.7, 1.8 seconds. And about 3 seconds behind him is Pettington. Then you've got Kevin Harrison here, followed by Cameron Weston Edwards. Edwards is almost out of touch, but not quite. Edwards able to close that gap a little bit up with the DRS. Jack Yates, though. Jack Yates is almost within DRS range of Cameron Weston Edwards. And there you see Luis Wassman in the background, running by his lonesome at the 7th spot. Even further back from him is Jorge Correa. Joined late, didn't get to qualify, started 10th. Had a pretty good start. Had a little bit of contact, or maybe had a little bit of an off a couple of times now. So he's still running in 8th, so there's still points to be had for him and his team. And honestly, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, we saw in lap 1 what happened between Paco Suarez and James Jock. You just don't know what's going to happen with some of these drivers. Edwards still trying to keep touch with Harrison's Alfa Romeo. And right now, if the race finished right now, this would be a really big swing for Jared Fosbury in the championship point standings. This would actually really tighten it up between him and Jack Yates. Kevin Harrison would lose a little bit of touch. And I think Yates would retain the top spot in the standings, but only by a few points. So Edwards still trying to keep touch with Kevin Harrison for the 4th spot. And look at some of this tire strategy here. We see 8 laps on the medium tires. You see the mediums versus the hards. And 3rd through 8th are all on hard tires at this point. So the interesting battle is going to be between, I think right now it's going to be between Penton and Fosbury. Adrian Storm's lost a little bit of touch. Penton's actually started to close the gap to Adrian Storm for the 2nd spot. That's actually falling 2.6 seconds. It was 3 seconds ago last time by. And Adrian Storm has lost a lot of time now to Jared Fosbury, because that was a 1.7 gap. It is now 2.3. Jorge Correa has expressed because he did not make it for qualifying, he was not able to make a setup either, so he's running a default setup, which he has said here on the live stream that is painful. That does explain a lot, but don't give up on it, lad. You can still score some points. Just maintain your pace. You see Adrian Storm now 2.2 back, so maybe cooled his tires off a little bit, trying to get back. And he's definitely gained some time. 0.6 of a second he's gained that lap down to 2.0. He's 2.2 back. Penton's only 2.6. So the interesting thing is even though there's not necessarily a real big battle of wheel-to-wheel action going on right this second, these cars are all so close within each other that if somebody makes a small mistake, the door is going to open up for somebody to get a position. And the pit strategy, I think, is really what I'm really intrigued about, the hards versus the mediums. Because basically what you're going to have is, well, I don't even know if you would have it, you would have them swap basically hards to mediums and mediums to hards, but somebody could gamble on a 2-stop, take the softs. I don't know. I'm not good with strategy calls. I like to go fast, so give me the grippiest tire you got, and I'm all for it. I'll do 2, 3, 4 stops all day long as I can put the pedal to the metal. So Penton still closing that gap a little bit to Adrian Storm. We talked about him a lot earlier in qualifying. I mean, he's very quick. 3 wins on this season. The fastest lap. In fact, he's only been in 3 races so far this year. Every race he's entered, he has won. So that's been unbelievable. He's one of 2 drivers so far this year to finish on the podium for every race that they've entered. The other driver being Jack Yates. Jack Yates has been in 7 races this year. He's 7 for 7 as far as podium finishes go. And a couple of those are wins on top of that. That's why he's got the points lead. So Penton, the only other driver to finish on the podium in every single race that he's participated in so far this year. He's actually got the pace to be in the F1 league in IRL, but unfortunately because of his work schedule, he's not able to make every single race. They elected to put him in F2, where because of his pace, even though he wouldn't make every single race, he would still be a contender for the championship, and he's been proving that so far this year, 4th in points. And Jared Fosbury now has pulled out to a 3.3 second gap over Adrian Storm, and Storm is losing time now to Eric Penton and the rest of the field. Penton's got that down to a minute, 1.5 seconds. So he'll be within DRS striking zone here, probably within the next lap. It looks like Storm's going to dive into the pits, though. So this is what I want to see. He's going to dive into the pits. We've got another car in the pits. Is that Fosbury? Fosbury's in the pits as well. And they are going to switch over to the hards. Looks like Storm is on the hards as well. That is going to put Eric Penton out in front. 1.7 seconds ahead of Kevin Harrison, who is 1.5 seconds ahead of Cameron Weston Edwards. And Edwards is now going to be under threat from Jack Yates. And all of these guys are on the hard tires. So Adrian Storm, Jared Fosbury both pitted at the same time, switched over to hard tires. They're probably going to run those all the way to the end. Are they going to be able to make up the time lost on track to some of these other drivers? This is going to be very interesting indeed. So we've already talked about Eric Pennington a lot today. We see now Jack Yates is in the DRS zone of Cameron Weston Edwards. Slot open. He's 0.8 of a second back. I don't think he's going to be close enough here to make a move. Oh, he's going to go in deep. Big lockup. That was bold. And a good save by Jack Yates. That was, I think he thought he was going to try it, and then he thought better of it. That was a close one. That was a very close one. And Edwards would have never even seen it coming because Yates made that move from very far back. And that's definitely probably going to hurt those front tires a little bit, so. Down the back stretch, looks like he's going to be thinking about making a move again. Oh, look at this, Edwards. Being a little defensive there. And Edwards is going to either drive, yep, he's not going to go for the pits. He's going to drive down to the wall, break up the slipstream. I'm on board with Jack Yates. And he's probably going to hold that line. No, he's not going to hold that line. Oh, and Edwards runs a little wide, gets a little bit of a back end kick out there. Side by side hanging in this right-hander, and around the outside Yates is going to try and go. Edwards is not going to leave a lot of room for him, that's for sure. Edwards, one of the toughest drivers to find a way around. There he comes down the hill to the other right-hander, and Yates is there. Yates still trying to find a way around. And down the front stretch one more time. He's pretty close this time. He's under half a second back. He's going to have a good run coming down towards the turn one. I think Edwards knows it this time. I think Edwards knew he wasn't going to be able to hold him back. He's going to try and outbreak him on the outside, maybe try a crossover move. He's not done with him. Dives back to the inside. Now they're side by side. And it's a drag race down the straightaway here. Into the right-hander, and Edwards is going to try the crossover move once again. And he's again side by side with him. Edwards putting up a heck of a fight here. Going to try and push him wide. They're side by side here through here. Shoulder to shoulder racing. Wheel to wheel action to the inside. Edwards going to try and take that spot back. They're rubbing the letters on the tires with each other. And Edwards gets the position back. Unbelievable defense from Cameron Weston Edwards for the third spot. That is some great racing from both drivers. And now once again, Yates to the inside with the DRS. There was nothing Edwards was going to be able to do there. Can he stick with him? Oh, and he's not done with him. Coming back towards the outside. He was offline just a little bit. And now Edwards is going to have the DRS advantage as they head down into the last corner here and onto the front stretch. And here comes Cameron Weston Edwards across the start-finish line. Yates tries to take the more defensive line away from him. Edwards is going to do the crossover move. He was so good through here last time. And he gets a great run coming out of that corner. And once again, he's going to be side by side with him down the straightaway. Oh, and they bang wheels just a little bit. And it looks like there's some action going on in the back. That's Luis Wassman getting overtaken by Jared Fosbury. And Edwards not able to get that position back this time. Can he stick with them through the next DRS zone? Very hard on the brakes there. Gets a little bit of a back end slide coming out of that corner there. Looks like he's a little too far back to make a move. Can he stick with them through this next series of corners? Get back out onto the front stretch. Working lap 16 of 29. And through all of this, Kevin Harrison looks like he's gotten around Eric Pettington for the lead. And I'm sorry we missed that while we were watching the battle for third between Jack Yates and Cameron Weston Edwards. Tires starting to give up, and it looks like Harrison and Pettington are both into the pits. And here comes Jack Yates and Cameron Weston Edwards. So we're going to pick up Jared Fosbury. Where is Fosbury through this? Here comes Fosbury down the front stretch. He just ran the fastest lap. He comes across the line, and he is going to be your leader once more. Adrian Storm behind him. Here comes Kevin Harrison, followed by Eric Pettington, followed by Cameron Weston Edwards is able to get out in front of Jack Yates in the pits. Great pit stop by the Ferrari crew to get that spot back. Luis Wassman dives into the pits. It looks like Jorge Correa has been able to pick up the 7th spot. But did Jorge pit? Jorge has not pitted to pick up that 7th spot. So we'll see how well he does running that strategy. Jorge's known to be going very long on hard tires. As we continue to watch this battle, this is now the battle for the 5th position between Jack Yates and Cameron Weston Edwards. And Yates is going to be all over the back end. You see he's on the medium tires. Actually, all the guys that were on hards are now on mediums. And all the guys that were on mediums are now on hards. Nobody took the gamble on the soft. Maybe with the exception of Jorge Correa. He hasn't pitted yet, so he might try to run those hards a little bit longer, maybe switch over to softs. And here we go, Jack Yates once more. But this time he is going to dive to the inside of Edwards. Edwards is going to do the crossover move, get the power down, go around the outside. Great move by Edwards to get the position back. And once again, Jack Yates coming in hot. Going to have the DRS slot open. Meanwhile, Jared Fosbury has a 3+ second gap lead over Adrian Storm. Storm is going to be feeling the pressure from Kevin Harrison, I feel like, in the next couple laps, though. Storm is going to have to put the pedal down and try and stay out in front if he wants to try and retain that podium position. Jack Yates, meanwhile, still trying to find a way around Cameron Weston Edwards. Edwards, great defensive driving. Gets the power down on the outside. Great defensive driving by Cameron Weston Edwards. To ride on board with Jack Yates, trying to find a way around this very wide Ferrari. And here goes Yates one more time. Kevin Harrison just ran the fastest lap. Edwards was a little wide coming out onto the front stretch. DRS slot's going to be open on Jack Yates, Alfa Romeo. I'll be doing that all season. Edwards tries to take away the defensive line. He's going to try and outbrake him all the way to the inside. Going to try and push him wide. Crossover move. No, he's going to try and stick it to the outside. And now they're side by side. Edwards is going to have the DRS advantage through there. Down to the right-hander. And that was a little bit of, I want to say, ambitious driving from both guys. Oh no, and Edwards makes contact! And around he goes! And here comes Luis Wassman. He's not close enough to get to Edwards. And that was some really good driving. Now, Kevin Harrison now is all over the back of Adrian Storm in the Mercedes. Harrison in that Alfa Romeo. The battle for second spot. And you see Eric Pettington coming into the shot there in the background. He's only 2.5 seconds back from this battle now. Storm trying to break up the slipstream. Harrison is going to be able to go to the outside. He was all the way down to the wall. And he's going to be easily be able to get by that. Adrian Storm going to try and tuck back in line, maybe outbreak him a little bit. He's not going to get there. It looks like Kevin Harrison has picked up the second spot. Can Storm get it back? He's still in the DRS zone, but Harrison's on these softer tires. And 9 laps to go. And Jared is going to be looking in his rear view mirror because Kevin Harrison is coming 2 seconds back. And Storm is losing touch with him just a little bit. So I don't think the strategy is going to work out too well for these guys with the hard tires now. Everybody that went from hard to soft looks like they're going to be able to capitalize on it. Storm has now lost touch. But Eric Pettington is now creeping into the fold here. Storm's just outside of that DRS range. And while all this is going on, real quick, we're going to pick up Luis Wassman because he's now within the DRS range of Cameron Weston Edwards for the 6th spot. We saw that epic battle that Edwards was having with Jack Yates for the 5th spot. And unfortunately, you can't do that much racing side by side without something eventually going wrong for one of the drivers. And that's really what it came down to, a very unfortunate racing incident between the two drivers. They made a little too much contact. And unfortunately, Edwards got the short end of the straw on that. But some great driving by Edwards. But it looks like he may have possibly run into an issue, possibly some wing damage, maybe some flat spots on the tires, because he's lost a lot of time to Luis Wassman here. Wassman within striking distance. He's got the DRS advantage now on some of these, the 3 DRS zones here around Bahrain. Edwards, maybe his tires were a little overheated. He had to slow down and let them cool down. He's able to gap the car a little bit. Wassman's still going to have that DRS advantage, but he's almost outside of that 1 second range. Meanwhile, we've got basically a 4-car battle materializing for every podium spot. Jared Fosbury ran a couple of fast laps. He is now 1.1 seconds ahead of Kevin Harrison. Harrison's now 1.3 ahead of Adrian Storm, and Adrian Storm is 1.2 ahead of Eric Pettington. So the top 4 cars, you see them all there in that one shot. And now Harrison is in DRS range. And lap 22 of 29. I don't know that Jared Fosbury is going to be able to hold him off that long. But while those two fight for position, Adrian Storm might be able to capitalize on it and close that gap a little bit. But Eric Pettington is really, he's just on the cusp of the DRS. Fosbury right now just needs to hit his marks. And Harrison now within half a second. He is in striking distance of the McLaren of Jared Fosbury in front. These two actually gapped Adrian Storm here in that last sector. Adrian Storm has fallen back 2.2 seconds, and he is going to be under threat from Eric Pettington. Out of the last corner onto the front stretch, Fosbury looks like he's taking up the middle lane here. A little bit of a defensive line. Here comes Harrison, dives to the inside. Oh, and he's going to turn in on him, and Fosbury tries to get it back and run him a little wider side by side. He tucks in behind him to try and pick up some slipstream, and you see Pettington's doing the same thing in the back. He's going to try and find a way around Adrian Storm. Meanwhile, oh, it looks like Harrison had a little bit of contact, got pushed wide. Jared Fosbury takes the position back, and Pettington does get around Adrian Storm for the second spot. Two battles going on at once. I couldn't keep track of what was going on. Looks like Harrison may have gotten the short end of the stick on a corner there, maybe blew a corner. Possibly a little bit of contact. He's coming back strong, though. He's got that gap under a second already. So right now the battle for the win of this race is also going to be the battle for, it's part of the championship battle. And these two drivers right here, Jared Fosbury and Kevin Harris, can close the gap to Jack Yates, because Yates is currently running in the 5th spot. So these two have got the chance to really take a big chunk out of that championship points lead that Yates has. It would be the first time this year Yates does not finish on the podium. And here comes Harrison again down into turn 1. And again, Fosbury's going to try and outbrake him. Fosbury's going to have the DRS now coming into this fold here. Not close enough to try and get that position back. Oh, but oh no! What was that? That looked like a little bit of a brake check to me. And Fosbury's now got wing damage, so this is going to hurt him. And that is really disappointing. That will certainly be discussed. That will certainly be discussed at the end of this race. That is unbelievable. And I'm being biased. I don't know what happened. It looked like a brake check to me. I don't know if Harrison was upset about the contact from the lap prior, but that looked like a brake check, and it has now broken the left front end plate off of the front wing of Jared Fosbury's McLaren. He had such a good run going. 5 laps to go, and this is definitely going to hurt him now. Eric Pettington's all over the back of him. Adrian Storm's been able to close the gap. So that is going to be discussed and looked at, I'm sure. And Fosbury is probably going to try and run the rest of this race on the hard tires with low downforce because of the broken front wing. So that is unfortunate for him. That is unbelievable. That will certainly... And we've got Luis Wassman is now getting around Cameron Weston Edwards for the 6th spot. Edwards tries to take it back on the outside. Nose the tail. You can't get much closer than that. And Edwards needs to be careful with his defensive driving. He doesn't want another incident where he loses the car. But he doesn't want to lose any more spots either. This is the battle for 6th. And it looks like Wassman can get close, but he can't get around him. And Adrian Storm back in DRS range. Oh, this is going to be on Jared Fosbury, though. I almost wish I would have stayed on the onboard with Kevin Harrison through that incident just to see if I could get a little bit of an indication of what happened. You see Fosbury there has to go very wide. Gets a good run out of that corner, though. He's managing with the loss of front-end grip. So these two guys who had started out battling for the win of this race have now fallen back to battling for 3rd. And Edwards and Wassman are still swapping spots, as Wassman's still trying to find a way around the Ferrari of Cameron Weston Edwards. And Adrian Storm going to be looking to make a move on Fosbury. Oh, and he is all over the gearbox of the McLaren. Working lap 26 of 29. Fosbury trying to hang on to this position, hang on to this car with the broken front wing. Unfortunately, Adrian Storm is all over the back of him. You can see the heat coming off of the exhaust. He was so close. Down to the inside. Fosbury's going to try a crossover move. He has to start his turn in way sooner than these other drivers because of the loss of front-end grip. The car wants to push. And here comes Fosbury. You see that left front end plate gone on the front wing, but Fosbury's done a mightily good job to hang on to this car. And he's got a good run coming down on this right-hander at the end of the DRS, and he takes the position back. And here comes Adrian Storm. He's all over the back of the McLaren and once more. And he gets a good run coming out of there. He got the power that tried to swing to the outside. Oh, and you've got to be careful here because you've got to remember Storm wants to try to make that outside line work. But Fosbury's got no front grip, so his car's going to push wide a little bit. And here he comes Adrian Storm once again to the inside. And Jared Fosbury's doing an exceptional job making this work for him, trying to hang on to this. Both of these guys could use a good finish. And I know Fosbury's got to be fuming in that car after that contact with Kevin Harrison's Alfa Romeo. Meanwhile, while this is going on, these two are battling it out. Jack Yates is now within 3 seconds of these guys. Oh, and Fosbury, great line through that corner. Adrian Storm was a little too close for that. Oh my, but Jack Yates is now within 1.5 seconds. I didn't think he was going to be able to make up that much time on these guys. So this is going to turn into a 3-car battle for the podium. Jack Yates isn't out of this at all. Meanwhile, Eric Pettington is within a second of Kevin Harrison. Adrian Storm still trying to find a way around the wounded car of Jared Fosbury, and Jack Yates is closing in. Now 1.1 seconds back. Cameron Weston Edwards picks up a 3-second time penalty. That is going to hurt his chances. That's going to drop him to 7th at the end of this race. And now look at this 3-car battle. It is here. Jared Fosbury is going to be under threat from 2 cars. And Jack Yates has got a chance to pick up another podium finish. And this is not what Fosbury needed. This is not what he needed at all. Adrian Storm now, he's still trying to find a way around this wounded car. It's like a wounded hyena out in the field. And Adrian Storm to the inside. And Jorge Correa just ran the fastest lap. Good for him. To the inside, Adrian Storm doubled slipstream for Jack Yates. To the inside goes Yates. I don't think Fosbury is done with his battle with Adrian Storm. They are snaking down the front stretch. This is unbelievable racing. Last lap. It's back to the inside. Fosbury goes all the way down to the pit exit. And Jack Yates tries to go around the outside. He tries to get the 2-for-1 deal. Works his way into the podium position. Fosbury trying to go side by side with him. And Adrian Storm picks up a 3-second time penalty. And now they're bumping and grinding. A little bit of a shoulder check from Jared Fosbury. And they're side by side. They're almost 3 wide through that corner. And Fosbury gets hit from behind by the Alfa Romeo. And now Adrian Storm is side by side with Jack Yates. This is unbelievable racing on this final lap. And Fosbury, he's able to gap the cars just a little bit, but both of these guys are going to have the DRS advantage. Fosbury hanging onto this car. Jack Yates to the inside, trying to make a move. Through the S's. And this is where Fosbury loses a lot of ground because of the front end aero wash, and he's going to go side by side with him. Yates still bumping and grinding. Adrian Storm to the outside, tries to get the double slipstream down the straightaway. Final set of corners. Yates is going to try and outbrake him. Fosbury all the way to the inside. Here comes Adrian Storm. It's a 3 wide down the front stretch. And who's going to get it? It was Jack Yates. Picks up the podium position. Unbelievable finish for the 3rd spot. Unbelievable race. I told you guys, short on car count is not short on action. Unbelievable finish to this race. That was amazing. And we were waiting for Jorge Correa to come across the line. Last I saw, he had gotten credited for the fastest lap. He's on the soft tires. So an 8th place finish plus the fastest lap, that'll garner him an extra bonus point. So good for Jorge Correa. Missed qualifying. Got set in the Red Bull, that's not his car. Got stuck with a default setup. Struggled for pace, but he ran those hard tires very long and very deep. Gets put on the softs. And he is going to limp his way down the front stretch. So Jorge Correa coming home with an 8th place finish. That is points for the team no matter what. And celebratory donut. Not much of a donut when you slam it into the wall. So what an amazing race. And so there is Kevin Harrison. That is now 3 wins in a row for Kevin Harrison. Eric Pentington comes home with 2nd place. And Jack Yates manages to get it on the last lap, finish 3rd to keep his streak of podiums alive. That is 8 races, 8 podiums. He is still batting 1,000, and Fosbury is not happy, and I imagine that he is not. So I'm going to try and get, I don't know if I'm friends with any of these guys, Kevin Harrison or Eric Pentington, but I will try and get them in here for a quick interview. And Louisa Wassman congratulating Cameron Weston Edwards on a good battle. Edwards would be an interesting conversation to have as well. And from what I can tell, it does not look like I'm actually friends with any of these guys. And I am going to do this. There's a part of me that wants to do interviews, but the only way I can get them in here is if I invite Jared Fosbury, and Fosbury is probably not in a good mood to talk. I don't think now's a good time to get him in here with the Alfa Romeo drivers to do an interview. So I think we're going to close this out. It was an unbelievable race. There's going to be a lot of discussion post-race with the Alfa Romeos, Kevin Harrison, Jared Fosbury. So definitely interesting what had happened today. Unbelievable racing, though, nonetheless. I'm glad everybody that joined in, and be sure to check us out next week as well. This championship fight is not close to being over. So next week we're going to be at Yas Marina, November 17th, Yas Marina, Abu Dhabi. Same track time, same track channel. We'll be here on IRL, International Racing League YouTube, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. I should be spectating. I should be commentating that race as well. Guys, be sure to check us out. Like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Check us out on Twitter. That is at F1_IRL for all the latest news and updates. And you can check us out online, internationalracingleague-IRL.com. Congratulations to Kevin Harrison, Eric Penton, and Jack Yates for their top 3 finishes. And stay tuned to the Twitter channel to get the news and updates on what is going to become of this race. And then check us out again next week. And also be sure to check out more IRL action on the YouTube channel. You can check out the F1 races. You can check out the F3 races. F1 runs on Saturday. F3 runs on Sunday at the same time as F2. And I appreciate everybody hanging out. We'll see you all at the next round.